This is A to Z with Mark Zinno, part of Locked On Sports Atlanta, and it starts now.
Good afternoon. Welcome to A to Z here on Locked On Sports Atlanta, where today I tell you they're not done yet. Welcome in. We are live here on this Thursday, back in the saddle, and so great to be with you. As you can tell, if you're watching here on our YouTube channel, I am refreshed. I look sprightly, and I've got a wonderful tan. So it is great to be back in the saddle with you guys. Certainly enjoy being with you after a nice vacation. And thanks to John Michaels for filling in while I was gone. Give us a follow on Twitter at LockedOnATL. Of course, you can follow me at Mark Zinno, MarkZinno. We've got a lot to do in the show here today. We're going to get into the NBA and the Atlanta Hawks and where they're going to go and what their situation looks like, because I still think there's some more to be done. And as we record this here in the middle of the day on Thursday, there could be a lot that happens by the time you're actually listening to this. So I'll keep my fingers crossed that everything is up to date. We've got college football alignment to get to. I've got an idea that's going to save both the Pac-12 and the ACC together, and why college football should take a little bit of a nod from the Live Tour. We'll get to that coming up. But I do want to start with the Atlanta Braves, and I'm reminded that this segment of our show brought to you by our good friends at BlueNile.com. But I want to start with our Atlanta Braves because they win again last night. They now won 3 in a row against the St. Louis Cardinals. They're 49-34, and they are just 2.5 games out of first. And I went back and looked at it. May 31st, they were 10.5 games out. They have made up an 8-game difference in basically 5 weeks. It's pretty impressive. If you make up an 8-game difference in the last week of August through the end of September and clinch a playoff berth or win a division, people talk about that historically, right? This team has done amazing. They have now scored more runs this year than the New York Mets have. They've only given up 5 less runs than the New York Mets have. It has been a phenomenal turnaround for them, and they're not done yet. And I think there's something that Braves fans have to consider. You saw Eddie Rosario come back in the lineup last night, hits a home run, and he looks really good. And it's a very small sample size. But I just want Braves fans to start thinking about what is in front of them. And what is up against the idea of winning back-to-back titles. Because as I've said, and I've said this repeatedly, it is not easy to win back-to-back titles. It is very, very tough. There's a reason why it hasn't happened in over 20 years. And so the Braves and Alex Anthopoulos have to be as aggressive this year as they were last year in order to win this thing. But here's the thing. Look at this roster and where they are, right? Look at this roster and the good problems that Brian Snitker has in front of him. Because when you think about this and you think about, how this team is going to continue to play, you got 5 outfielders right now. Acuna, Duvall, Harris, Rosario, and I guess Ozuna. Yes, already is on the roster, but Ozuna will play occasional outfield. He doesn't have to anymore. He can go back to being a DH. But even at that, Acuna, Duvall, Harris, and Rosario. Who's the odd man out? Right? Having a 4th outfielder like that is really, really good. Now, is Rosario willing to be the odd man out? Yeah, maybe. Who has more power? Duvall does. Who hits for better average? Maybe it's Harris at this point. Harris is going to be your everyday center fielder, right? I think we've sort of figured that out from a defensive standpoint. He's the best guy there. Although Duvall, didn't he win a Gold Glove? These are all the issues that the Braves have in front of them. And you look at the idea of how does this team get better? Now, the infield feels really set. Olsen at first. When Ozzie Albies comes back, he'll be at second. Right now it's Orlando Arcia. Riley at third, Swanson at short. But I'm going to propose something that's going to blow your mind here coming up in a little bit. But you look at the starting staff. Is it fair to say at this point in time that maybe Anderson and Morton would not be starting in the postseason? Right? Wouldn't you feel like it would be Fried, Strider, and Wright as your 3 guys right now? Because that's kind of what it feels like. Now, is there an upgrade available to that? I think there are a lot of arms out there. And what do you trust in the postseason? Do you trust Kyle Wright in the postseason? Do you trust Spencer Strider, who's never pitched in the postseason? Do you want to give the ball to Morton? How much better do you want to be? Does the bullpen continue to need to get better? There are tons of changes that you can make. And you could argue, and this is prisoner of the moment stuff, you could argue that touching the Braves right now the way they've played is a bad idea. And I get it, because they have made up a ton of ground, right? They have made up a ton of ground since the beginning of June. And you don't want to mess with that. But I would still argue, are they the best team in the NL right now? Forget record-wise for a second. Objectively, are they the best team? No. How much better are they than the Mets? Coin flip. Are they better than the Brewers? Probably. Are they good enough to beat the Dodgers? Maybe. Who knows? I mean, there's a lot of things that are uncertain at this point in time. From a numbers standpoint, the Dodgers pitching staff is a lot better than the Braves. Now, maybe some of that is because the Braves struggled in the beginning of the year, and they're just getting around to being good. The other part of this is that, getting to the postseason and getting through the postseason are two different things. Do you have enough to get through the postseason is what matters to this team. And I'm interested to see this, and I'll throw this out there real quick, and I just want you to think about it before you reject it. If there was an option to go get another high-level starter, a definitive high-level starter, where you could trade away a Charlie Morton, or maybe even an Ian Anderson, who's a lot younger, right? Trade away an Ian Anderson, and get this, folks, Dansby Swanson, whose contract is expiring. Are you content with a better high-level starter that goes in there, and Orlando Arcia plays short and bats at the bottom of the lineup where he has been, and you get better in the pitching staff? Now, losing Swanson is a tough pill to swallow, but that may happen regardless. That's the kind of aggressiveness that Alex Anthopoulos has exuded. And I'll give you a sort of flashback to where it worked for another team. You guys remember what happened in 2004? The Boston Red Sox won the World Series. Remember what they did in the middle of that season? Yeah. They sent 5-time All-Star Nomar Garciaparra to the Chicago Cubs before the trade deadline. 5-time All-Star. Nomar! The pride of the franchise at that point in time. The guy that they had built around. Nomar! And they traded him away. And what did it do? It netted a World Series. That was a team that was a game away from the World Series the year before. An extra inning game against the Yankees the year before. You could have argued they didn't need to make a single trade. They did. They got worse at shortstop and got better everywhere else. Right? They got worse at shortstop, but got better where they needed to, and it got them a World Series. It is. You can't argue that he was in the final year of his contract, and they weren't going to re-sign him. He was a 2-time AL batting champion, and all of a sudden, they said sayonara. Those type of moves help win your World Series. As I said repeatedly, I enjoy GMs who go all in. I enjoy GMs who take super risks, and Anthopoulos is that guy. I'm not saying you have to agree with it right now. Just think about it, because things are going to change. The Braves are going to have another slump at some point. Why? Because baseball does that to you. And the Mets will have another shot up. Why? Because baseball does that to you. Don't think about right now. Think about what it takes to get through the postseason. All right, coming up next, the Pac-12 is on severe life support. Big 12 looking to poach away some big names. But I'm going to save the Pac-12 and the ACC. I'll tell you how I'm going to do that next. But first, a word from our friends at BlueNile.com. Blue Nile is the largest online retailer of certified diamonds and fine jewelry. The company offers a superior experience for purchasing engagement rings, wedding rings, fine jewelry provided by expert guidance, in-depth educational methods, and unique online tools that place consumer in control of the jewelry shopping process. Blue Nile has some of the highest quality standards in the industry and offers thousands of independently certified diamonds and fine jewelry at prices significantly below traditional retail value. Blue Nile can be found online at BlueNile.com. They are the original online jeweler since 1999. They've helped millions of couples create their perfect engagement ring, and they are committed to ensuring that the highest ethical standards are observed when sourcing diamonds and jewelry. Again, BlueNile.com. All right, I'll fix college football coming up next right here on A to Z on Locked On Sports Atlanta, free on YouTube and wherever you get your podcast. Search Locked On Sports Atlanta.